Oh, glad as always you're with us for Mariners baseball on a Root Sports. A little bit of a chilly early evening here inside Safeco Field. Chris Davis and the Slugging A's coming to town to take on James Paxton and the Mariners. Bob Melvin, possibly the American League Manager of the Year. Here is his lineup.
And for the A's, Ramon Laureano will lead things off at .301 average for the leadoff hitter. Dangerous lineup altogether. Cleanup hitter Chris Davis and 45 home runs, 119 RBIs. Stephen Piscotty hitting fifth, 26 home runs and 85 RBIs from the A's, are second in the American League in home runs. For James Paxton, just 6 strikeouts away from 200 for the season, 21 home runs this year. He's given opponents hitting just .221 against him. He has a .383 ERA. And the defense, Mitch Haniger will get the start, but he'll be in center field tonight, not right center field. 12 outfield assists for him as tops in the American League. Gordon and Cano on the right side of the infield, and Mike Zunino will do the catching.
So here's Laureano digging in, the first to face Paxton. Good start for James, strike one. And you mentioned it a few moments ago, Mike, 70-75 pitches for Paxton here tonight. After all, not pitching for the last 16 days.
Yeah, we're getting to the end of the season. You know, he wants to be back out there, and here he is tonight. I think there's a milestone for him. 200 strikeouts is something that he would like to get to. Let's not forget he had 16 strikeouts against the A's earlier this year. But 70-75 pitches for him.
And play to Seager. Easy hop there. Quickly, one away. That brings up third baseman Matt Chapman. Now the A's lost yesterday 5-1 at home against the Twins. That was their final home game of the season. Also lost a chance to gain ground on the Yankees. The Yankees also lost yesterday to the Orioles, of all teams. Chapman with 25 doubles since the All-Star break. That leads the majors. It's an A's record. Well, the A's, whether they know it or not, they have just clinched the final postseason spot in the American League, as the Yankees have beaten the Rays 4-1 in Tampa Bay. Magic number for Oakland was 1 entering today, so with an A's win or a Rays loss, they would be able to punch their ticket. So for Bob Melvin and the Oakland Athletics, they have clinched their 4th postseason berth in 7 years and their 9th in 19 years. Gamble in right field tonight. 2 away.
And a good sign for James. That last fastball at 95 miles an hour. The velocity is there here in the first inning.
Now, Mike, we all like to forecast, right? Before spring training, even during spring training, even in April. Who's going to win what?
Do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rarely are we right.
Yeah.
So who would have thought that the final American League playoff spot would be decided between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Oakland Athletics, and that the first team to clinch in the National League would have been the Atlanta Braves? Kind of goes to show you how unpredictable this game can be, isn't it?
Well, it does. I thought maybe you had 2 of those 3 in spring training.
I didn't want to bring it up, but I appreciate you saying it.
Yeah, it's been quite a season, and it's you know, to me, I think it's healthy for baseball when you talk about all those different clubs that are getting an opportunity to go to the postseason. And you know, you talk about a lot of the same teams every year, and you mentioned the Yankees as one of them. The Dodgers, of course. St. Louis also in the National League. The Cubs now, but it's been an interesting year, I think, especially in the American League, and the Rays really came out of nowhere towards the end.
Well, they have also maybe had one of the most influential seasons in years to come in baseball with their success of the opener. That has impacted the A's. It has impacted even big payroll teams like the Dodgers.
And a lot of teams are trying it here in September, even the clubs that are not going to the postseason, I think, just to get ready for next year. It's going to be the next thing.
James thought he maybe had that one. 2-2. Close.
Pretty good slider on the outside corner, and just misses.
The 2-2 from Paxton. Ticks it right back to Zunino's glove. Good clean top of the first for Paxton. A strikeout closer to 200. first inning as Mitch Haniger leads off the jack-of-the-box starting lineups.
And for Haniger, 11-game hitting streak on the year, so really been swinging the bat well lately. Robinson Cano, 5 consecutive multi-hit games for him. He's third in the lineup. D. Gordon will round out the 9 for the Mariners.
Full windup from Mingden, and he fires across the first pitch strike. Now Mingden making his first start since June the 23rd. Spent some time with the disabled list with a foot injury.
His average fastball at 92 miles an hour.
And there is one.
Slider changeup primarily, but he will mix in a cutter and a curveball. And he has struggled in the first inning. ERA at 7.88, under 3 after the first.
Mike, I would say that nearly everything about Daniel Mingden is one of a kind.
Including the mustache.
The mustache.
The windup.
The windup. Before the windup. Just everything. 0-2 on Haniger still. I mean, even the Sox. Who has? What other member of the? Am I wrong on this? What other member of the A's has those kind of socks? I've never seen those.
Never seen them. I would say nobody else. No, you're right about that.
Nothing but strikes early on here from Mingden.
He's been pitching well lately. His last 3 outings, 4 2/3, didn't allow a run, 5 innings without allowing a run, and in 4 more innings, just 1 earned run.
Skyscraping pop up into shallow right field. Close call there, Piscotty. It is a breezy night.
ERA right at 4, 7-6 record for him, 110 in the third, 67 strikeouts. Again, not a power pitcher. Typically going to put the ball in play. Doesn't walk many, just 25 walks on the year. And for the A's defensively, Mark Cannon will get the start in left field. Marcus Semien, the shortstop, and Jonathan Lucroy has thrown out 30% of base stealers this year, the veteran catcher.
One out here is Gene Segura batting second. Well, the Mariners with success this year against the A's, 9-7 this season against the Athletics. They finished the year, Mike, as we saw on the road trip, with a winning record against the Astros. A chance to have a winning record against the top 2 teams in the division.
It's just been interesting to watch the A's this year and seeing them earlier in the year. I mentioned Paxton had the 16 strikeouts, and it just kind of wondered where they were going. And then you get into September, and they'd already been playing well for almost a couple of months, and that continued all the way through September. Kept waiting for them to come back, but that just never happened.
Chapman near the line. Pretty routine play for him. 2 outs.
And as you can tell, he has the great throwing arm. A lot of range.
Speaking of that, Bob Melvin has talked about how nervous Chapman makes him in the dugout because of how deep he plays. And on situations where Melvin was hoping that he would play more shallow, because he has that terrific arm, he can make up for it.
Well, and that's what helps out his range also, because he's able to play that much deeper than most. He's going to get to the ball that maybe some wouldn't, relying on the arm.
Robbie, a 5-game hitting streak. In fact, he's 13 for his last 19. He's locked in. Getting the start tonight at first base. (2-0). Well, they are playing Robbie straight up. StatCast AI powered by AWS.
It's rare to see a straight up defense these days.
And he slugs this out to center. Laureano curling back, and this is gone. What a blast by Robinson Cano, number 10. And the Mariners have an early 1-0 lead. That was torched.
Consecutive multi-hit games for him, and he's used the entire field through the 5 games. He's been as hot as anybody, barreling up, it seems, to everything, including right here in the first inning. That was his 10th home run on the year. Taking advantage of the count, 2-0.
Shift on for Cruz. Strike one. Nelly with 36 home runs on the season now, batting just a notch above 260.
Hoping to have a really good homestand, trying to get to 40 home runs on the year and 100 RBIs, 92 RBIs so far this year.
Back to the Cano homer.
Had that sound to it. 413 feet, exit velocity of 107.
Nelly not too pleased with that call. 2-2. Two outs, nobody aboard. Cuts right through it. High fastball. But the Mariners strike first. We told you that Robbie was locked in.
He has been hot. And here's a look at the classic swing. Fastball and a 2-0 count. Middle of the plate. Head right on it. Barrels it up and drives it out to center field.
Right, a telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. First pitch strike to Chris Davis. What a season it has been for the A's DH. He leads the majors with 45 home runs. Second in the big leagues, 119 runs batted in. Paxton with a clean first inning. 1-2-3.
Power to all fields for Davis. For James, hit 95 miles an hour in the first. It's a good sign for him. He's also able to mix in his slider and curveball.
Well, for James, he's already set a career high this year in starts, in innings, and in strikeouts. He is on the hunt for 200 career strikeouts, now 5 away. James threw a 40-pitch bullpen session on Friday in Arlington, and halfway through, the torrential downpours began. He finished his bullpen session, worth noting. Which I don't know if that's
in that rain.
I was going to say yes, and I don't know if that's exactly the best conditions for a guy, well, for any pitcher, but coming off pneumonia.
And I was worried about walking out to my car in that rain. Well, good for him, and he looks good so far.
Spikes a curve in, 2 balls and 2 strikes. You know, to put it in perspective, the airport, Dallas-Fort Worth, their rain gauge had 8 inches of rain during that downpour in Arlington. Segura off to his right by a half step. 1 down. Well, James Paxton is the subject of tonight's AT&T Achieving More. How about his numbers against the A's? 9 career starts, 4-0 the record, an ERA of 3.70. 62 punchouts, only 17 walks, and a pretty lowly 220 opposing average. He has had the A's number. One out facing the right fielder, Stephen Piscotty. Now Piscotty, I don't know if it's fair to say he's turned his season around, Mike, but
I think it's fair.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Okay.
I was thinking about that today when I was looking at his numbers.
He's at 270, 26 home runs, plays a really good right field. When we saw him early, it was a tough start to his career in Oakland. Now, we would be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that he was dealing with as heavy of a subject off the field as one can go through. His mother was passing away. His mother, Gretchen. Of course, Piscotty grew up in the Bay Area. He has memories of attending A's games with his family at the Coliseum. And if you had not heard the story by now, as they appealed, he does not go. The Cardinals and the A's worked out the trade. It was beneficial to both sides. The A's giving up some good prospects to get a young player in Piscotty, a former first-round draft pick out of Stanford, in part so that Stephen could be home with his mother in her final days. So you get a lot going on. Down on strikes. Second strikeout for Paxton.
Primera Supermo, and this will be on the slider. Cutter, if you're asking James, but he gets him to swing right over the top of it. 89 miles an hour. Seeing the curve a couple of times, but more slider so far early.
First pitch strike to Canna. 17 home runs this year for Canna, a personal best.
Playing left field tonight. We've also seen him play some first base.
Now this would be a night where he should wear the ski mask, I would think.
Started the season with the ski mask.
Even when it was 80 degrees, that ski mask had hits in it. Paxton ahead.
Didn't he have something going on social media about the ski mask?
Oh yeah, no, it was the daily update was
the daily update. That's what it was.
Let people know what was going on.
Having some fun with it.
Some people took it pretty seriously. I don't think Canna took it seriously at all, which is what made it pretty fun.
Missing with the curve.
Mariners leading early 1-0 thanks to Cano's 10th home run this year. The 2-2. Doubles up on it, full count. First 3-ball count for Paxton tonight.
Been a handful of starts this year for James where he has had everything working. One of them was the 16 strikeouts against the A's, but most of the time he will go through the first, maybe the second inning, and then decide which pitch he likes better between the slider and the curveball.
To Segura, skimming the whole way. Gene on target to first, and it's 6 up, 6 down for James Paxton. Mariners leading early. Well, the Mariners celebrate Fan Appreciation Night on Friday with fantastic prize giveaways, including airfare from Alaska Airlines, items autographed by your favorite Mariners, and much more. Then after the game, catch a fireworks spectacular presented by T-Mobile. Tickets at mariners.com. Denard Span leads it off in the bottom of the second for the Mariners. Looks at strike one. The prevailing thought, it seems to be now in the game, Mike, among starting pitchers, the fewer moving parts the better, the more repeatable the delivery, the more consistent your pitches will be. Mengden does not subscribe to that philosophy.
No, it's more old school, isn't it? I think that I can understand when we talk about pitchers in today's game, just because of where the velocities are. For the most part, they don't need the big windup. Also has some deception. There's 93 at the top of the zone to pick up the strikeout.
How about the hitter's perspective to this?
And there's a timing element to it because you just don't see it, but the overhead windup. Smooth delivery, really, overall. There's some deception to it.
One out, nobody aboard for Kyle Seager.
Kyle with 22 home runs on the year, 76 RBIs.
Shift is on for Kyle. Nothing unusual. One pitcher that comes to mind that is the polar opposite of Mengden is David Price. Price has no moving parts whatsoever, and he was a big influence on Taijuan Walker during Taijuan's final days with the Mariners to have a similar delivery.
And at one point, Price was mid to upper 90s with his fastball. Doesn't throw quite that hard today. Pretty good changeup to Kyle. watching all these games, and one of the things that I would tell my boys all the time when they were playing, when they were younger, is to try different things. When they watch, try to swing like Ken Griffey Jr., of course, but even some of the other guys that were in the line, just make things up if you want to, just to try, because you never know what's going to work for you. And it's the same thing for the guys that are on the mound, just trying different things. The further along that you're fortunate enough to play, there's adjustments that have to be made, and I'm sure that he hasn't always had this type of delivery. It's something that has evolved for him.
He would have been the coolest fourth grader if he did.
That was you in the backyard throwing the wiffle ball today to Jackson, right? I mean,
you should see the late break. It is amazing. Nobody can dominate their 3.5-year-old with a bat like I can. It's funny because I think of a guy, this is kind of a random name, but somebody that we've seen over the years in the American League, now the National League, Kevin Gausman, former first-round draft pick with the Orioles, always had that great arm, and it never quite translated to the overall numbers that you would expect. He gets traded this year at the deadline to Atlanta, and from the word go with the Braves, 3 consecutive strikeouts now from Mengden. Gausman started to work from the stretch, and his numbers in roughly 10 starts since working from the stretch have been lights out.
Things again, simplifying it, making it a little bit easier for him.
But when I heard that, it kind of made me scratch my head. I mean, you can be in the big leagues for 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it might be, have a hard time, and then all of a sudden this one thing that either you just decide to come up with on the spot, or a new set of eyes suggests to you, and all of a sudden your career can be born again.
It happens a lot. Well, you were talking about that. I was thinking of Mitch Haniger.
Sure.
First round pick, obviously a lot of talent, has all the tools to play this game, but it took him a little bit longer to get to the big leagues until he found something that worked for him.
And he tore it down to the studs.
Yep. Sometimes change of scenery, have some different eyes watching you to come up with some of those things. Somebody had to suggest that to him, and it worked, or it felt good to him right away when he was throwing his bullpen. Translated into the game, gained confidence from it. Good to see Ben in the lineup, hitting .275 on the year.
The 3-1 to Gamble. Olsen, a little flip. Mengden covering, and the side retired in order. It is on to the third. Mariners have the only run. you by Steel. To find your local Steel dealer, visit steeldealer.com. By BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. By Safeco Insurance, find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. And by Virginia Mason Primary Care. First baseman Matt Olson leads it off for the A's in the top of the third.
Speaking of a unique stance, the way that he holds the bat out, kind of out over the plate, straight up and down. Somewhere along the way, he made an adjustment and it worked.
You think that you could just bust him up and in with fastballs all night long?
I think that you probably can, just don't miss.
Sure.
Tremendous power. James has tried to pitch him in a couple times, and there it is right there. Probably just off the plate. EQC Tracer has it just off the plate, but tied him up with it. That's the biggest key to it, is yes, you can pitch him inside, but you better elevate it, probably belt high or higher. It's down and then he'll just drop the barrel on it. And he has power to all fields. 28 home runs on the year for him.
The 2-2. Strike three called. He freezes him. Good fastball at the knees. Third punch out for Paxton tonight.
Yeah. James with good command. 34 pitches, 22 strikes, and a pretty good fastball tonight. Not his best fastball, but a good fastball.
First pitch strike to Simeon. I think the question it's fair to ask, and Scott Service has been asked questions similar to this about Paxton. Why pitch him tonight? Why possibly pitch him again? Look at the numbers this year for Paxton. 26 starts entering tonight, 150 innings. Now, obviously a good reason tonight. Not that this is top of mind, but as you can see, he's trying to join a pretty exclusive list. He had 200 strikeout pitcher and the first lefty in club history since Randy Johnson. But also, when you look at the way that this season is finishing for Paxton, this is only his third start in about 6 weeks. Right, had the bruised forearm, suffered against the A's, had pneumonia as well. There's no foul. Scott said that if he comes out of this start feeling good, then they will take a hard look as to maybe pitching him one more time. That could be game 162, the final game of the season on Sunday against the Rangers. But if you're Paxton, you can understand wanting to go out on a high note after not pitching much at all over the final month and a half.
I think it's also important on that, thinking to get as many starts in as he possibly can, because when you go into next year, you want him thinking about 32, 33 starts. And if you
200 innings.
Yes, all those things. And so you'd like to see him get close to that this year if he can.
Another 2-2.
I wonder if one of the other factors in all of it might be whether he starts in that last game or not. Is if the Mariners are sitting on 89 wins. I was talking to some people, and for me, 90 just, it sounds so much better than 89. And I think as a club, they would really like to probably get there, and they're going to have a good homestand. It's certainly possible. James gets another strikeout, back-to-back strikeout. What do you think about that?
I think it's a great point. I had not thought of that.
Primero Supermo, and the overpowering fastball by James just throws it by him. 4 strikeouts in the game, just 2 strikeouts away from 200.
It's kind of like 100 RBIs versus 96.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I was thinking about it. Why are you laughing?
I mean, Mike, you're 4 away in 95. You couldn't, Mr. Grand Slam, you couldn't get one more of those? 1-1 to Lucroy. Don't you love it when a guy who doesn't have one talks to you about not getting 100 in this season?
Yeah, well, I understand.
1-2.
I was robbed, Aaron. It was a shortened season that year.
No, whatever.
I needed the extra games.
Whatever you had to play. So.
I just did.
I was not going to give you credit of a shortened season. I knew you knew.
I didn't expect you to.
Paxton 2 strikeouts shy of 200. The 1-2. Clobbered out to left with Carey, and this game is tied. Only the 4th on the season for Jonathan Lucroy. First hit, first run for the A's.
And this is going to be a mistake with the curveball, 81 miles an hour. Typically he wants it down out of the strike zone to get him to chase it. Knuckle curve, and it's middle. Primera Supermo and the swing by Lucroy barreling it up. Just his 4th home run of the year.
Laureano, the batter, now with 2 outs and a run in. 2-0. Now Laureano has really opened up some eyes this year. He's now batting just over 300. He has been tremendous in center field. And for a team who has now clinched a postseason berth and finished the previous 3 seasons in last place in the division, you look up and down this lineup now. They got a ton of talent. Three and 1.
Aaron, you're talking about possibly James getting another start, and we're talking about him getting closer to 32, 33 starts. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Mitch Haniger going into this year after what we saw last year. What can he do with a full season? What type of player is he going to really be? And we saw that this year. Mitch, terrific year all the way around. And I think it's that time that we want to see that from James going into next year also.
Well, Haniger's really put himself on the map. Into center. Base hit out towards Mitch Haniger. 2-out single. Kids Appreciation Day presented by Ivers and Kid Valley is the perfect day for young Mariners fans. This Sunday you can join us for a day of prizes and surprises when we face the Rangers at 12:10. Plus all youngsters will take home a poster featuring the Mariner Moose. You can get your tickets at mariners.com. Remember, final game of the season, game 162, everybody starts at the same time, so that is why it is a 12:10 first pitch instead of 1:10 as usual on a Sunday. Plenty of young ones taking in this one here tonight. Hope to see everybody out here on Sunday. 2 outs, Laureano aboard. In steps Matt Chapman. That looked close, but ball 1. Out towards right center. Gamble and Haniger. Mitch will take care of it to end the inning. Laureano stranded. Lucroy a home run. We're tied at 1. Time for our Geico This Date in Big League history. We're going all the way back to this day in 1940. Jimmy Fox with 2 X's hits his 500th career home run. Zunino leads it off. Swinging strike 1. Second player ever to reach that milestone. Babe Ruth the first. Going way, way back. Another 20 home run season for Mike Zunino. He was the first Mariners catcher ever with 20 home runs, which means he's now the first Mariners catcher with back-to-back 20 home run seasons.
Yeah, I was talking to Mike, and up and down year for him overall. The 20 home runs, the plus for him. But you go all the way back to the start of the year, batting practice for the opener, and ended up having that oblique problem and a number of other health issues for him along the way. Stayed in the lineup because he knows how important he is as far as his catching and handling this pitching staff. But talk to different players and what they're going to do when the season is over, and they all have different things that they're planning on. For him, it was to heal up, and you can certainly understand why.
For sure. And you know, not to get on too much of a soapbox here, Mike, but people will be frustrated when you look at the end of the season and the swing and miss rate for Mike Zunino. Mike is frustrated by that. But you mentioned what he does with the pitching staff, and we know he can hit it to the moon, right? I mean, he has 30 home run potential in him, easy. And you start looking around the catching position, not just in the American League, looking in the National League if you want as well. It is a really hard position to fill at an elite level. There aren't many out there that can do it an all-star caliber on both sides.
Well, and you look at the difference between last year and this year, and last year he took a big step forward. He swings at that breaking ball off the plate. But one of the things that I talked to him about, and Edgar had mentioned to me too, is when you have all those responsibilities that you're talking about as far as an elite catcher, and this is an example of something that Mike and I were talking about. When you're having to deal with that, and that takes a lot of your time, and so you're limited on the time that you have. And for Mike, as far as the offensive side of things, all the things that he did so well last year came through a lot of the drills that he would do prior to batting practice and then go into the game. He hasn't been able to do that this year, in large part because of his overall health, the injuries that he's been dealing with. And so it'll be interesting to see, once he is healthy, if he can get back to where he was at in 2017. The power is always going to be there. That's just a natural thing for him. But the main thing with all of that too, when you have that type of injury, and this is something that Mike had said to me, and he goes, you catch yourself cheating. In other words, you can't get started the right way, you don't feel good, and so you're trying to rush out there to catch the fastball, and that's when you see him chasing the breaking ball off the plate, and it's harder to lay off of those pitches. And that comes through all the drills and the confidence you gain from that. But if you're not healthy and you're staying in the lineup, you're limited on what you can do. And it's especially true if you're a catcher. So I'll be real curious to see where he's at. He would seem to be in a really good place throughout the spring.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right.
Where he was at, and then all of a sudden the injury starts, and it's one injury after that, and then another one he's dealing with. And we give him all the credit for staying in the lineup every day, and he's as tough as it gets. But that's a lot to deal with.
1 out, nobody on. A ball and 2 strikes to D. Gordon. Now, Mike, I'm the last guy to reference spring training as being a real thing.
Yeah.
But you mentioned his spring training, how great it was. He's the first guy in Cactus League history to get a standing ovation in a spring training game.
That's true.
I mean, it's unprecedented. That's never happened before.
But I was talking more towards his approach, not the results or the standing ovation.
It's a full count.
But you're right about that.
I'm trying to remember. Did he hit three home runs, and then his 4th at bat, he stung a line drive the opposite way.
Right.
D. Gordon walks. A one-out walk to D. Gordon. Here comes Mitch Haniger. So you're telling me that in spring training we had an immaculate inning and nearly a 4-homer game? Spring training is great.
It is great. Short spring this upcoming
That's
year.
right. Some added air miles to Japan and back. Keep an eye on D and those 30 steals. Haniger, an 11-game hitting streak. Probably feels like a brand new man, or at least a small fraction of one after having yesterday off. Chapman, foul ball. You look at the 11 games for Haniger, this 11-game hitting streak, 19 hits in that span. And you talk about finishing strong.
Speaking of next year, it'll be interesting to watch Mitch next year. Every player, especially when you're first breaking in and trying to figure out how you fit and what kind of numbers you can get at the major league level. With his numbers, that's going to be asking a lot to improve on the type of year that he has had.
What kind of confidence does he come to spring training with next year?
Tons. And there's a lot of things that he doesn't have to worry about or think about going into spring training. He can get ready for next year. And now that he's had a healthy full season, he knows what that's like and what's required of him physically. And so he can prepare for that, not worry about having to make a team and you know, all the different things that come with that. It's more just getting ready for the season.
And you think about how his role has changed defensively in the last, let's call it, a month and a half or so. He's playing more center field than I think Scott ever imagined he would be.
Yes.
And the grind that has.
About everything that he's had to do this year. Nelson was hurt early, so he goes from hitting 5th or 6th in the lineup, probably 6th or 7th really, to hitting cleanup. Then he takes over the 3 spot when Robbie was out. Then they needed him to lead off, and he's able to do that. It's just, it's amazing for me that he hasn't changed anything in deal take off on the pitch.
They got him. Now Lucroy set up for a pitch out. That's about the closest thing I've seen to a pitch out almost all season.
There it is. Pitch up and away. Lucroy had thrown out 30%, so having a solid year behind the plate throwing out runners. Primera Supermo, as you see the tag on D. Right on the elbow just before his hand touches.
Well, you're right, Mike, and now he's become one of the most dynamic leadoff hitters in the American League. I mean, he really has excelled in every spot he's been asked to fill.
Even when he went through that little spell where he was struggling at the plate, he was still taking his walks.
Sure.
It's one of the reasons why Scott moved him to the leadoff spot. I was saying the other day, Aaron, too, one of the other things about all of it for Mitch is getting a chance to play. He's playing every day. Other guys are getting injured and not available, so he has to stay in the lineup on a daily basis. And then he goes to the All-Star game, doesn't get that break, comes right back playing again. It's been an interesting year to watch him go through a lot of firsts this year.
Mengden collects his 5th strikeout. Works around that 1-out walk. We are off to the 4th all time. Well, the Orca card is all you need to ride the Sounder train, link light rail, buses, ferries, and streetcars. Learn more at getorcasmart.com. Kind of a chilly night here at Safeco Field. Game 1 of the final homestand. Game 1 of 3 against the A's. All tied at 1. First pitch to Jed Lowry.
So far, James giving up just the 2 hits. One of them a solo home run to Lucroy. It's on a curveball.
I lift towards the corner. Gamble over for a look and a foul ball. Well, the number is 70 to 75 pitches tonight for Paxton, now at 57. First start in 16 days for James. Mel keeping an eye on things. Throttled out to left. Lowry has given the A's a 2-1 lead. '22nd of the season for the A's second baseman.
Really having a terrific year for the A's, and everybody in their lineup, he has probably hurt the Mariners more than anybody. As he gives his team the lead, 93 miles an hour on that fastball. Camara Supermo in the swing as he barrels it up. Middle in on the fastball and drives it out into the bullpen.
And here's the man that can really hurt you with the home run ball, Chris Davis. 45 this season. Pretty wild hack, 1-1.
James knew it right away. 392 feet on the home run.
For Lowry, his first home run in nearly a month. Paxton behind, 3-1. One of the really interesting things when you look at this A's team this year. Now, the gap has lessened over the last maybe month or so, but nobody hits more home runs on the road than the A's do. They lead the majors. In fact, they far and away lead the American League. That's now 25 home runs on the road for the Oakland A's. The Yankees are at 107 entering today. Weak ground ball taken there by D. Gordon. 1 down. Now, Mike, you know what it's like hitting inside the Coliseum, how hard it is to get one out at night in particular. So maybe this number is not all that surprising, but more than anything, just kind of the gap between the Yankees at 107 and the A's at 125 now. And they have been making their hay, the A's have, when they have not been playing at home.
On the Yankees home run friendly ballpark, I would say that they're playing in.
Sure. Jason Bradford now getting loose. Paxton's 0-2. now.
Wow.
I guess that's it for Scotty.
Swing and a miss. I saw Mike Zunino talking to Ed Hickok's home plate umpire. He swing through it. Typically, you would have to tag the runner or at least throw it to first, but Mike, oh.
Can I be really honest about something?
Yeah.
I'm really glad that that was strikeout 199 and not 200.
And not 200. I actually thought on that replay it hit him on the side of his foot. Swing through it and then it hits him on the foot. Here we go. Primera Supremo. He's going to swing through it and then I think it hits his back foot. Doesn't touch it clearly, and that's the reason why. There you go. And I'm glad too.
One strike away from 200 strikeouts. And play to Robbie. Handled it himself. And that will end the top of the fourth. Lowry has given the A's, however, a 2-1 lead. With the A's at 7:10. Tickets are only $20 and include a Kingsport t-shirt. Cheer on Felix and the Mariners by picking up your tickets at mariners.com/Felix. Well, congrats to Felix, officially a U.S. citizen today.
Yes, that was great news.
I think you would approve of the music selection earlier today inside the Mariners clubhouse. Proud to be an American was being played loudly. Very topical. Segura leads it off. Five strikeouts through 3 innings for Mengden, making his first start since June 23rd.
We've been talking about home runs and in the game, especially in today's game. And I heard something today that was surprising to me. Speaking of home runs, I heard today.
Soft fly ball into left, and Ken is able to get there for out number 1.
A little bit of a late break.
I'll put that on hold for just a second, Mike.
Okay.
Interested in hearing? Well, all right. Ask Root. Remember, you can always ask the booth a question using that hashtag. On a scale of 1 to 10, how smooth was this catch? Now, I did not see this happen. When it happened, Mike, it's a cold night. That hand does not feel good right now.
That is a terrific catch. Had it all the way.
Oh, and that is impressive.
Yeah, that is impressive.
I mean, I got a 0% chance of making that catch.
I'm not even going to try. As you mentioned, it's a cold night.
It is really cold out. At least to be making a barehand catch on a home run at least. Here's Cano. You were saying, Mike.
But I was over on the radio for the pregame today, and Shannon Dreyer was doing the pregame, and in one of the commercial breaks, she was telling me that, hey, Bryce Harper, 99 RBIs. It's one more RBI for 100. I'm going, yeah, okay. He's only one of the best players in the game, right?
Right.
He ends up getting that RBI tonight for 100. It's the first time he's ever had 100 RBIs in a season.
Huh?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's why she brought it up. That's the first time. I think she said in 2015. Robbie going to do it again?
This is on the track.
In 2015, he had 99. I believe it was 2015. But I was surprised that was the first time that he had 100 RBIs.
So many things come to mind. First of all, I have to double check this.
Please do. I want you to.
It is 100% true. 99 in his MVP season, which was an incredible year.
Is that 15?
It was 15.
Okay.
Now, the things that come to mind when you consider how often Harper walks.
And been hurt.
And
That's
been
what
hurt.
I thought about. Injury.
I mean, last year was really an odd year for Harper. And this year was a terrible year until after the All-Star break, when he's really turned it on. Easy play for Chapman. And the side retired in order. And as Mengden has faced the minimum for each of the last 3 innings. Home runs. James Paxton, Mike, his night has come to a close.
Well, it was great to see him back out on the mound. A couple of solo home runs hurt him in tonight's game, but 4 innings, just the 3 hits. Again, both runs on solo home runs. Didn't walk anybody, 5 strikeouts, topped out at 95 miles an hour. Threw 71 pitches tonight.
Leads us to our Beacon Plumbing call to the pen. On to work in the 5th is Chasen Bradford.
And for Chasen, 43 appearances on the year, a 3.33 ERA, and 51 in the 30. Has 37 strikeouts. Opponents hitting .256 against him. Fastball in the low 90s and a slider.
Bottom third of the order due up here is first baseman Matt Olson. Struck out looking, facing Paxton earlier. Now, Mike, what you did not know is when you posed that Bryce Harper situation that you would lead to a frantic 2-minute commercial break for me.
I was hoping so.
Testing the wireless internet speed here at Safeco. Now, in Harper's 99 RBI season, his MVP year, hit 42 home runs. So my first thought is, well, were they just all solo home runs?
Right.
25 of the 42 were solo, which I think it's easy for a lot of people to think, well, he must just be hitting a lot of solo home runs like I thought. But when you look at a home run log for anybody, they're mostly solo home runs.
Right.
I mean, it's just kind of the way that it works out. So I don't know if you can pin it on that. So then I looked at runners in scoring position numbers for Harper. He had 301 that year. Only thing I can figure is, I'm about to bring up walks, is Olsen walks on 4 pitches. I mean, just walks all the time. I mean, Joe Madden in a 3-game or 4-game series against the Cubs walked him like 12 times a couple of years ago. That's all I could figure out as to why, because you would figure a hitter with his talents would be driving in 100, but of course you are subject to guys being on base.
Because in that year, I think he played in 153 games. I'm not sure how many at-bats he ended up with. We're talking about all the walks.
Yeah, you're right. 153. First pitch strike to Simeon.
I just found that interesting that this is the first time that he's had 100 RBIs.
Oh, I find it fascinating, and I'm mad that you knew that before I did.
Again, Shannon Drager is the one that I don't want to take all the credit there, but I thought it was kind of fun.
The 1-1. Ben Gamble has it, 1 out. Join us for Mariners Flannel Night on Thursday when we host the Rangers at 7:10. Through the special offer, fans will receive a view or main level seat and a cool Mariners flannel. Tickets start at just $45. Only mariners.com/flannel. So that's very timely. One out, one on. Here is Lucroy, who homered off of Paxton to tie the game in the 3rd. Lowry's home run gave the A's a lead in the 4th. Strike 1. Lucroy, when you look at this season for the A's and how spectacular it has been, Lucroy, let's not forget, was a late addition to the A's. That came roughly midway through spring training. Remember, was with the Rangers, then traded to Colorado. Never really got off the ground with Texas for whatever reason. Into left field. 2 on, 1 out. Here's Laureano for the 3rd time. He's 1 for 2. Had no balls and 2 strikes to Laureano. Rookie center fielder who really made more headlines with his glove in his early days of the big leagues, but now you can see batting over 300.
And his arm.
You're right, yes. Probably even more so with his arm than with his glove based on some early highlights. D. Gordon has it. Option pass, Segura, not in time to first. You get Lucroy at 2nd.
I know it wasn't a firm ground ball, but I thought they had a chance. Laureano, though, terrific speed. He beats that out easily, no problem at all. It's a 2-hopper. Again, not firm, but they had a chance. No chance.
So 2 outs, runners on the corners for Matt Chapman. Looks at ball 1. plate again. 2-0 to Chapman, batting second. Mariners, of course, coming off that 6-4 road trip. Tonight, the opening stage of the final homestand of the season for the Mariners. 3 against the A's, 4 against the Rangers. Good breaking ball there, 2-2. Leads off at first. Throw that away. Chapman has just been a monster since the All-Star break in particular. He's batting .315 with an OPS of nearly .980 since the All-Star break. Laureano taken off, hit and run, and a good snare there by Robinson Cano. That will end the inning. Couple are left stranded as we go to the home half. Denard Span, he'll be followed by Kyle Seager and then Gamble. Distilling BSB brown sugar bourbon. You can't spell baseball without BSB. Glad to have you with us here tonight. The opening game of this 3-game series, the Mariners and the Oakland A's. Athletics leading 2-1 as we move to the bottom of the 5th inning. Only mistake by Daniel Mengden, a first inning solo home run off the bat of Robinson Cano. Facing Denard Span here to begin the bottom of the 5th.
Adam Warren getting loose in the pen for the Mariners. So it looks like just the 1 inning for Bradford.
Mariners will piece it together following Paxton's 4-inning start. Nothing in 2.
This could be an interesting evening for the National League. Look at the National League. The Dodgers out in front of the West. Game and a half up on Colorado. Colorado, they're at home tonight. They're beating Philadelphia 9-1 in the 8th inning, so they could probably wrap that game up. In the meantime, the Dodgers are tied with Arizona at Arizona 2-2. They're in the 5th. So that could get a little bit closer.
The Dodgers have been one of the hardest teams to figure out in baseball all season long.
With all the talent that they have, I agree.
Right when you think, and people have thought this a number of times, that they're about ready to take over and just dominate that league, and particularly that division, they regress. Off of Mengden. That hit him hard.
Yeah, that did. Oh boy. Well, you hit him right in the middle of his shin, maybe on the ankle. Denard Span first hit it. I thought it was going to go back up the middle. So many times we see the ball hit like that and it ends up getting past the pitcher in to the outfield, but not this time. Well, that hits him on his foot. Maybe on his little toe. Solid.
And it looked like, at least from one of those angles, Mike, that it did not hit the firm sole of the foot, but really got right on top of the toes.
And he went down right away.
This A's rotation is paper thin as it is.
Good. Back on his feet and try to walk it off. The right foot. That's the foot that he's going to push off. Primera supermo and a line drive off the bat of Span. He thought about running to first, but then went right to the ground.
Still trying to figure out if he can go or not. The American League playoff picture. Look at the wild card winner on to face the Red Sox, who have just set a franchise record, by the way, 106 wins. Never done before in Red Sox history. Indians and Astros. Astros a win away from number 100. And then, of course, the wild card game, A's and Yankees. And the A's, every game counts. They are entering tonight. We're just a game and a half behind the Yankees for that top wild card spot. And they would love to have that game flipped from the Bronx to the Coliseum. Mengden taking some warm-up tosses.
So he's going to stay in the game. Have you had a chance through your travels this year? Have you seen Milwaukee?
I have a couple of times.
And your impressions?
Well, it's funny because
they're amazing to me.
Well, they have one of the most entertaining players in Christian Yelich. We saw him a couple of years ago in interleague play when they came here. Of course, the Mariners went to Miami years ago as well, so we've seen Yelich a handful of times. Seager here with one out and nobody on. You know, it's really a kind of a confusing trade deadline for the Brewers because they needed starting pitching, and instead they went out and they got a bushel of position players. They got Mike Moustakas at third base. They got Jonathan Scope in a down year to play second, which really made for difficult juggling act for Craig Counsell. Bermuda Triangle here. Who's got it? Laureano. 2 outs.
You're right about that. Milwaukee 2.5 behind Chicago to start today, but leading the wild card.
Yeah, but of course on the same day this offseason they get Yelich, they get Kane. Now if you are a subscriber to Wins Above Replacement, Mike, Lorenzo Kane, you
yes,
can't.
that's
he's the MVP right there. He have I don't know, last look 38 runs batted in and a couple of home runs.
So you're going to make an argument for Yelich, are you?
He's a terrific player. We know that firsthand from watching him all those years in Kansas City. But Yelich very well could win the MVP. Here's Gamble with 2 outs.
We were just talking about him when he hit for the cycle.
Twice against the same team.
That's
in
amazing.
About 3 weeks.
Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'll tell you how strange baseball is. Cincinnati almost ran the table this year against the Dodgers. They were 6-0 against Los Angeles till the Dodgers won their final game of the season against the Reds.
It's going to be an interesting week in the National League.
Off the left side, Semien unloads quickly. He's looking like a different player defensively these days. Well, the Mariners send the minimum to the plate for the 4th straight inning. A's have the lead. Friday is Fan Appreciation Night with fantastic prize giveaways all game long, including a 55-inch television every inning courtesy of Root Sports, Holland American Line Cruises, and much, much more. Then enjoy a post-game fireworks show presented by T-Mobile. Tickets can be yours. Mariners.com. Just giving away TVs. A new pitcher up on the mound for the Mariners. Of course, Paxton got the start, 4 innings. Bradford an inning. And now Adam Warren up on the hill.
Yeah, we're going to see a number of relievers tonight. 44 appearances, a 3.12 ERA, 49 strikeouts in 49 innings. Opponent's hitting .238. His fastball also in the low 90s with a slider.
Jed Lowry with a home run earlier that has given the A's the lead. He begins the 6th inning for Bob Melvin. Now, we have had some really interesting conversations, Mike, both on the air and off the air, about the Cy Young Award in the American League this year. One thing that we haven't talked much about, how about American League Manager of the Year? Bob Melvin, Kevin Cash. Now, Melvin's clubs go to the playoffs. Their magic number was 1. They clinched that in the 1st inning here today with a loss, interestingly enough, by Kevin Cash's Rays. You want to talk about a team in the Rays that have made more noise than anybody would have thought in a division dominated by 2 powerhouses in the Red Sox and the Yankees. He has possibly the Cy Young Award winner pitching for him in Blake Snell, Seattle's own.
Gaining some momentum, by the way.
You're right.
I think it was 6 1/3, 6 2/3 of shutout baseball again for Snell.
His 1.9 ERA, I believe it is. And oh, by the way, the Rays have traded basically everyone. Including 2 people who have made a big impact on the Mariners this year, Alex Colomé and Denard Span. Shift is on here for Lowry. Check swing. An appeal. He does not go. Because it's interesting when you're talking about manager of the year, right? You're really talking about, there's a little bit of a curve you're grading on here. It's not Alex Cora. His team's won 106 games. He has
the most wins ever by a Boston team.
That's not a new organization. But when you talk about doing the most with less, I mean, the A's had the lowest opening day payroll, and they're on their way to the postseason. And if they were 30th, I'm guessing the Rays are 29th. Strike 3 call. One up, one down. How about our CenturyLink What's Next? Brett Anderson getting the ball for Bob Melvin tomorrow night in Game 2. Mike Leake will make his 31st start of the season, and just another 30-start year for Mike Leake. Our coverage begins at 6:30. First pitch time, Mariners and A's, 7:10 here from Safeco Field.
So who would you vote for?
Oh, I don't have the answer, Mike. I'm just throwing out the question.
I'm not saying that you have the answers. There's a very good chance you're going to be wrong. I'm just asking.
I would, you know, they are both remarkable stories, and I would give the edge to the team that is in the playoffs.
Yep.
I would give it
So
to the
would
Oakland
I.
A's.
Yep, so would I.
Now, whether you like it or not, what Kevin Cash and the Rays have invented this year in the opener is seeming to be a trend that is not about to go away.
No, we're going to see a lot of it next year. Between the opener and the bullpenning that we have seen. Zach Duke getting loose. I think that you're going to see more and more of it next year.
Healthy Hack, 2-2.
I thought one of the interesting things for myself was a conversation I was having with Scott Service about it, Aaron, and you hear this a lot.
Oh, this is crushed. Out to center. Haniger, gone. Number 46 for Chris Davis. It's been a trio of solo home runs tonight for the Athletics. They lead it 3-1.
Just tremendous power to all fields, and he's able to catch up to a fastball that is 92 miles an hour at the top of the strike zone, and typically hitters are going to swing through it. Definitely difficult to catch up to, but he just drives it out to center field. Tremendous power. But I was talking to Scott Service about it, and you hear managers talking, getting the players to buy into different things that they're trying to do. And on this last road trip, he was saying that they wanted to do some of this, or a little bit more of what you're talking about, the opener or bullpenning, if you will, just so the players get more used to seeing it, so that it's not such a shock to them, just like all the shifts that we see. Just, you know, it's that kind of thing, getting them used to it. So when you show up to the ballpark, it's not something that is really that unusual to you, which I thought was interesting. I think we've seen a lot of teams try that here in September, and it's easier because you have so many guys in the bullpen. But I thought it was an interesting way to think about it and look at it, which I think is really smart.
We just had the headshot of Mike Leake, tomorrow's starter. Mike, there is one team in baseball, one team, that has had 5 starters make 25 starts.
One team.
You're looking at them, the Seattle Mariners. I'm eager to talk to Jerry about that. I mean, you think about the durability.
Think about what's happened here in the last couple of years going into this year, and now that
14 starters.
It's completely turned around.
Franchise record last year. I mean, look at Marco Gonzalez, Felix, Paxton, LeBlanc, who was not even, of course, in the opening day rotation. Leak. Which normally, 5 starters make 25 starts. Big deal. Today, well, the Mariners are the outlier. I lift out to Span. 2 away. That brings up Mark Canha.
And outside of just health too, now that you have the opener getting involved, this may be even more difficult to have 5.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no doubt. Two outs, bases clean. Splits the right side. Canha's first hit tonight. 2-out single.
Zach Duke still throwing in the pen. And it looks like Scott Servais is going to make a trip out to the mound, a pitching change. Canha being aggressive, just slaps it through the right side. Fastball probably just off the plate away, going with it. And there will be a pitching change.
We will step aside. A's by 2.
With you here at the Ford Sports Desk, and there are days like today that I wish I was eligible for some of the contests that we have. I want to introduce you to our Dream Stakes winner. This is Eric Sauvy from Grandview, Washington, and there he's in the team store, which is pretty cool because he got $1,000 to kill in there. I really liked his selection. So he's trying on the jerseys. He's thinking, you know, do I need another Griffey jersey? Probably. I mean, don't we all? Can you ever have enough? He was also out there checking out batting practice down on the field. He got to meet Dee Gordon, Kyle Seager, and again, anytime you can spend $1,000 in the Mariners team store, it's going to be a good day. He picked up several memorabilia items while he was in there as well. What do you think, guys? What do you guys need from the Mariners team store? I'm going to make a run. If I could pick you up one thing, what do I need to get you?
I got to tell you, Angie, my advice to Eric, if you got $1,000, get away from the hats. Okay?
That's a lot of hats.
I mean, anybody can get a hat. There's Zach Duke on to work facing Olsen left on left.
68 appearances on the year. ERA just over 4. 49 and a third, 46 strikeouts, over 21 walks. Only sitting 275. Upper 80s fastball, sweeping slider.
I think I would walk out with as many autographed baseballs as I can get for $1,000. I think that'd be the move on my part. Or, you know, throw in an autographed jersey if you want to expand the memorabilia past just the baseballs.
Yeah, then you come back from a road trip and they'd all be in the backyard.
Still nothing in 2 on Olsen.
3 solo home runs for the A's. They're second in home runs in the American League, third in slugging, and we're seeing some of that tonight. Casey Lawrence getting loose in the pen.
The 1-2. There's Casey. Two outs to shift on for Olsen. Canada takes the lead at first base. The 2-2. And he got him. Duke does his job. He strikes out Matt Olson, and Canada is stranded. Well, coming this fall on Root Sports, it's another exciting year of Gonzaga basketball. Ranked top 5 in preseason polls, the Zags have another loaded roster returning for head coach Mark Few, who's looking to guide the Bulldogs to their 21st consecutive NCAA tournament appearance. Check out the full schedule on GoZags.com and catch the action all season long right here on Root Sports. Well, the Zags were here in town last winter. They played at Alaska Airlines Arena. They had their way with the Huskies. Huskies are going, hey, speaking of the Zags, Huskies are going to Spokane December 5th. Now, we were on the Caravan. Mike, I think you and I, we annually cross over for about 3 hours on the Caravan. But I was in Spokane with Marco. Let's just say he's a big deal.
I was on the campus with him.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, you're correct about saying that. Yeah. Really popular.
I mean, it's not an exaggeration to say he is the most decorated player in that program's history. Former first-round draft pick. And, you know, getting tickets to a game of the Kennel is not an easy thing to do. And yet it seems as though anytime Marco would like some tickets, he can get some tickets.
I'm sure it's not a problem. We had an event where we were in the field house and it was hitting and pitching for kids, and the place was packed, and it was because of him.
Another 0-2. Holds back on it. Into the gap in left center field. Zunino extra bases. Stand-up double, Mike Zunino.
Adjustment for Mike. Battling in an 0-2 count. And yes, he gets a hanging breaking ball from Supermo, but see his foot come down, and then he has to pause just for a second. He can do that because he keeps his hands back as he drives it into the gap. He is so strong, no problem. Splitting the gap out there. An easy double for Mike. 73 miles an hour on that breaking ball.
Now the first hit for the Mariners since Cano's home run, 3 batters into the game. First pitch to D. Gordon. A strike.
Chapman in on the grass.
Normally the only one-on-one battle in this game is the pitcher and the hitter, but the Matt Chapman versus D. Gordon, we've seen it already this season a couple of times. Hard to think of somebody who plays the bunt better than Chapman at third base. D ahead 2-1. Activity inside the bullpen. And Buckner getting loose. This is swatted down the line by the pole, and it is gone! Home run, D. Gordon! He's had a thing for home run against the A's this year. We're tied at 3.
For D, his 4th home run on the year. And a souvenir.
Now look at that contraption.
How about it? Here's the swing by D. Fastball on the inside corner, drops the barrel on it. Off the top of the fence.
Here's Mitch Haniger. Now I'm going to propose something here, Mike. I'm going to say that this is the first time in D. Gordon's all-star career that he has ever walked and homered in the same game.
Really?
You think I'm crazy?
I think you might be.
I mean,
maybe not. Off the top of the fence.
One and two. And what was MacGyver doing out there in right field?
Well, the interesting is the gentleman that ended up getting the ball. It looked as if he had a chance to catch it. He missed it, but he came prepared and still ended up with the ball.
Now, Mike, I was wrong. 3rd time in D's career, but the 1st time since 2013.
You started that correctly. You were wrong.
I mean, D walked 10 times, and now come on, he homered 1 time in 2013, and it happened to come on a night where he had one of 10 walks. 1 down. Now be sure to stick around after the game. I'm sure D will be eager to talk about that home run. Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines, and this one comes to a close. Here's Gene. Now, if I can speak candidly about our profession for a moment, Mike.
Sure.
There are certain guys who, when they represent the tie and run at home plate, let's say Nelson Cruz, for example, that you will say tie and runs home plate. Past the dive of Simeon into left field. The Mariners stringing some hits together. Segura, a one-out single, his first hit tonight. You know, when D was standing inside the batter's box, Mike, I did have the thought D. Gordon represents the tie and run, and I apologize to D. I thought it and I did not say it because you're thinking, right, it's not very often that D. Gordon hits a home run, and I've learned my lesson tonight.
When he hit it, he thought he had all of it.
He got it by just enough.
Yeah.
We got a pitch and change. Got a brand new ball game, tied at 3. Lower price for $25.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. Your subscription includes MLB At-Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this special offer. This game suddenly tied at 3 thanks to D. Gordon's 2-run home run. Daniel Mingden done for the night, Mike.
5 in the third, 4 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned. He's also responsible for Segura, who's at first base. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, 83 pitches.
Ryan Buchter up on the mound now, making his 52nd appearance.
2.95 ERA, 36 strikeouts and 36 2/3. Opponent's hitting .226 against him. He's given up 4 home runs. Fastball at 92 miles an hour. Cutter curveball.
Robbie on the first pitch to right. Squares it up, but it's out number 2. Segura back to first. Here comes Nelly. Now righty's hitting .283 against Buchter this year, a couple of home runs.
Bob Melvin looking at Span and Seager, Gamble after Cruz, so going to leave the left-hander in there. He only has 2 lefties in his pen. He does have a right-hander getting loose, just starting to get loose.
Pass Chapman into left field. Segura to second. Well, the Mariners had 1 hit over the first 5 innings, and they have 4 hits here in the 6th.
Even though Nelson squares this up, it will be a base hit, and I think Bob Melvin is fine with that. He hits it past Chapman. And the reason why is because now he's going to have the matchup he wants left on left. We'll see what Denard Span can do. Solid base hit from Nelson.
You're saying Melvin was essentially just banking on Cruz
Hoping,
not driving in a run.
Hoping that he was able to keep it in the ballpark. And so I think the fact that it was a base hit, he's okay with that. With all the left-handers coming up behind Nelson.
Segura the go-ahead run at second. Ball one.
Ryan Dole is the right-hander getting this.
Sean Kelly has joined in.
Lawrence was up in the Mariner pen, but John Armstrong is getting loose now. Mariners tying the game up. Making a change out in the pen.
Two outs, two on. The 1-1 off the plate. Span a chance to give the Mariners a lead here in the bottom of the sixth. Evens up 2 balls and 2 strikes. Span batting .300 as a Mariner with runners in scoring position. Now the 2-2. Now this is kind of what you love about Denard Span, isn't it?
Yeah, he had a fastball that was middle in, fouling it back, and then he had a really good look at that curveball at 79. So far he's seen everything. Started pitching him away. The last 2 pitches have been middle in. He wanted that breaking ball away from him, though.
Another 2-2. Full count. Segura the go-ahead run at second. Cruz is singled. He's at first. This inning brought to life by D. Gordon's 2-run home run. A long hold. Strike 3 call. It ends the 6th. The Mariners grab 2. They strand 2, all tied up. tied with the A's, all even at 3. And our Columbia Bank difference of the game. This is the reason why. Swings a big bat, you know, Mike.
How about D. Gordon? A 2-run home run to tie the game up right off the top of the fence. His 4th home run of the year.
He having himself a productive night. A walk, a 2-run home run.
And be playing second base tonight.
All tied as we open up the 7th. And a new pitcher up on the mound, Sean Armstrong pitching.
10 appearances. Not giving up an earned run. 11 1/3, 10 strikeouts. Only 1 walk. Opponents hitting 139. Fastball 94, 95 miles an hour. And a slider.
Facing the shortstop, Marcus Semien, number 8 hitter. First pitch pops it up. Zunino off with the mask. Running out of room. He has enough. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Straight up and plenty of time for Mike. Choppy step right when he gets towards the backstop and able to make the catch.
In steps Jonathan Lucroy.
Fernando Rodney, former Mariner, getting loose for the A's.
Ooh. Go ahead run on base. Lucroy not happy. He got him at 93 miles an hour.
Trying to pitch to the inside corner. He gets away from him right off the shoulder.
Now, Mike, let's revisit something we talked about well before this game began. This game is tied now, but the numbers this year for the A's when they have a lead after 7. Nobody's been better in the game.
That was 67-0, I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct. Top of the order, Laureano. First pitch swinging. Soft ground ball. The scoop, the throw, and it is in time. Nice play, Gene Segura, 2 away.
Has to get rid of it quickly. Laureano can really get down the line. We saw him beat out a double play possibility.
Now facing the dangerous bat of Matt Chapman. Go ahead run, Lucroy at second. Ball 1. Throttle to center, absolutely cranked. Haniger watching, gone. Chapman's 24th. The 4th home run tonight by the A's. Every run of this game has been driven in on a long ball. That's now 5-3 Oakland.
Well, it was 3 solo home runs and now the 2-run home run by Chapman. 24th home run. Nothing cheap about it. Gets a fastball middle of the plate. Dead center field. Primera Supermo. Stays on the back leg. Drives it to center.
Shift on for Jet Lowry.
Saying something about the A's and hitting home runs on the road.
Yeah, something like that. and a lead after 7 innings.
You want to see the power arms that they have in their pen. It appears that it will start with Fernando Rodney pitching the bottom of the 7th.
Now, when you start talking MVP in the American League this year, obviously Betts, Martinez, the duo in Boston, the duo in Cleveland as well, Lindor, Ramirez, Bregman at third for the Astros. Matt Chapman has to get some votes. I mean, he very well this year could win the Platinum Glove. He might be the best defender in the game. Now, Davis has the 46 home runs and 120 driven in for the A's. But what Matt Chapman's been doing at the plate is no joke.
Especially the second half.
We're talking about an OPS that is pushing 1,000. Plus the defense. Walk following the home run. And here is Davis. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not lobbying for Matt Chapman to win the American League MVP. I'm just simply stating, when you look at this team that has exceeded every expectation, he has had a monster breakthrough year.
He has definitely done that. And again, just a terrific second half. That being said, it's not his time yet.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
One and two. Well, Davis, his last time up, Mike, you were talking about power to all fields.
How about a fastball at the top of the strike zone that hits dead center field? 46 home runs, 120 RBIs.
A's have taken the lead here in the 7th after the Mariners tied it up on D. Gordon's 2-run home run. Flick high on a play foul, still 2-2. Strike 3 call. Brings him up on a fastball. Davis caught looking. Lowry is stranded. But Chapman has given the A's now a 5-3 lead. Washington's lottery. Well, the A's have taken the lead on Matt Chapman's 2-run home run. They lead at 5-3 as we open up the last of the 7th. Here from inside Safeco Field. Tonight, game 1. Tomorrow night, game 2. Brett Anderson making his 16th start of the season for the A's, and has really pitched incredibly well historically against the Mariners. Mike Leake making start number 31 on the season for the Mariners. 6:30 is our pregame coverage. 7:10 our first pitch time. Well, join us Tuesday during the Mariners game for Twitter Tuesday. You'll have 5 chances to win exciting prizes just by interacting with us on Twitter throughout the game. We'll be posting questions and of course want to hear from you, so be sure to watch and follow us on Twitter at RootSports_NW for giveaway rules. Visit us at rootsports.com. Well, familiar face, Fernando Rodney, now a member of the Oakland A's, pitching in the last of the 7th of the league.
And things have not changed for Rodney. Well, he's pitched a lot this year. 65 appearances. ERA just over 3. 61 of 30. 68 strikeouts. 27 walks. Opponent's hitting just 250. He's given up 7 home runs this year. His average fastball 94 miles an hour. One of the best changeups in the business.
Seager, Gamble, Zunino. Get strike 1. Shipped on for Kyle. Until this year, Rodney was the franchise record holder. His 48 saves in 2014. Was an all-star that year. Now 41 years of age. Diaz has blown past that number. One of the greatest save seasons in baseball history. Six on the campaign for Edwin. 3rd most all time.
Change at night. Close.
Good numbers for Kyle against Rodney. Soft fly ball into left. Canna has it for out number 1. Now, I did have to chuckle a little bit when Rodney went to the A's, because after all, it was Fernando Rodney who, by no fault of his own, locked himself in the bathroom in the visiting dugout at the Oakland Coliseum. Needed some help. Assistance was called on. Uniformed personnel.
And
they got out.
They was able to get out. Okay.
Just hoping that the home side is a little bit easier to navigate. Ball 1 to Gamble. Semien with some range, a stab on a hop, and the pick by Olsen.
Close play at first. I thought that Ben had beaten it out. Gabe Morales calling him out. Scott Service holding things up right now. Close play. Great play by Semien just to get to it. Gets rid of it quickly. See when it hits the back of his glove and where his foot is.
He got him.
And unfortunately, he's out.
It's funny, we're talking about Gold Gloves and the sword, Mike. I'm not sure what you've seen this year. It's funny because you could have a Gold Glove first baseman and you could see him in a 4-game series, and he never really has to make what do you want to call it, a Gold Glove caliber play, right? It's tough to imagine a third baseman or a shortstop going a whole series without being forced into a play like that. But the A's and Bob Melvin, they really believe that Olson is playing Gold Glove caliber first base this year.
2 young players on the corners of the infield for him. You've already been talking about Chapman, and I would agree with those for what we've seen. And another base hit from Mike Zunino. Mike with a couple of hits, had a double his last time up. It's amazing. You think that you can just put anybody at first most of the time because they can hit, and so we'll just put them over there. But the difference is if you have somebody, as Mike, again, his second base hit, if you have somebody playing first that can pick the ball like we just saw Olson, we've seen Ryan Healy do it a bunch this year. It makes your infield better, not just because of that, the ball that they pick, but it also gives them the confidence to get rid of the ball, knowing that they'll make the play on the other end of it. So I don't think you make as many bad throws.
Sure. That's a great play by Olson and Simeon. Well, can Lightning strike twice? A walk and then a 2-run home run that tied the game at 3. A's have since taken the lead back. D representing the tying run at the plate. The 1-1. Lowry thrown on to first, and they get D. That will retire the side. We go to the 8th inning. 5-3 A's. Brought to you by Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. By Jack in the Box, this season a Mariners double play means free jumbo jacks from Jack in the Box. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. And by BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. We have reached the top of the 8th. Athletics leading the Mariners 5-3. Casey Lawrence, a new pitcher for Scott Service.
Sinker slider for Casey. 9 appearances, 12 strikeouts, 9 walks, and 20 in the third, posting 275. He's given up 1 home run this year.
Facing Piscotty, starts him off with strike 1. Check swing, and it goes. 0-2. Split Seager and Segura. An 0-2 single for Piscotty, his first hit tonight. Well, coming up on Root Sports, it's another Beacon Plumbing High School football game. Tune in this Saturday to see the Skyline Spartans versus the Bothell Cougars at 11 p.m. Pacific. Don't miss the action this season on Root Sports. Brought to you by Beacon Plumbing, Heating, Electrical, and Mechanical. Stop freaking, call Beacon. Matt Joyce is our pinch hitter for Marcana. I still can't get over the Mike Freeman jersey we just saw in the pen, by the way.
Amelia getting loose for the A's. Hard throwing right-hander. Former closer of the Mets.
Slapped away from the shift. Piscotty to second. Joyce a pinch hit single. Zunino out for a quick visit. Olsen coming to the plate. Olsen a couple of strikeouts and a walk tonight.
Seeing the slider.
Four home runs tonight by the A's. Now 0-2. The A's, who have clinched a playoff spot tonight before, and this game really even got underway. It was early in the first inning. Oakland with baseball's best record since mid-June. Clinching tonight because of the Rays loss. Olsen having a chat with our home plate umpire Ed Hickox. Is he thinking that got him?
Sure. Bob Melvin's taking a look. And now they're going to take a look at it. Primera Supermo ball inside. Not sure if it hit his shoe or not. Back foot off his toe, maybe.
Looks like he points right away.
Right away he did, yes. And it seemed that I think there would be some sort of, I think it did.
Yeah.
Maybe even the bottom of his spike.
Now this would load the bases up for Simeon. Olsen was pretty sure of it right away. Meanwhile, Lawrence will try to stay warm.
Justin Grimm just starting to get loose in the pen.
A couple angles we saw there suggested it hit him. Piscotty the single, Joyce a pinch hit single. Those are the two men that are on base now, first and second.
This is giving Grimm plenty of time to get loose.
He might have to start pacing himself.
Just telling me before the game today, Aaron, how much you enjoyed the replay. Saying no.
All right. So we are right where we were, 1-2. Nobody out, 2 on. Into right field. Mariners would prefer that Olsen was hit. Coming around and scoring. There is Piscotty. 6-3 Oakland.
He wanted to hit anyway.
Well, in the very next pitch, solid base hit into right. Piscotty runs well, scores without a problem.
Grimm continuing to warm. Runners on the corners now. Joyce at third. Olsen the RBI single at first. Here comes Scott. First 3 men reach. We've got a pitching change. Nobody out, top of the 8th. Oakland leading 6-3.
Back to Safeco Field, everybody. I'm Angie Mentink here at the Ford Sports Desk, and we're curious what you're up to today. For Felix Hernandez, this is a very important day, not for baseball, but for other reasons. And this is the hashtag to use, Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Thomas has a little message for Felix Hernandez. Says, congratulations, Felix. A little picture of the American flag. Well, what's this all about? Oh, today, the king taking the oath. Felix Hernandez becomes a U.S. citizen today. Yes, he is sworn in by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. A funny little wrinkle in this story. Felix admitted his wife Sandra actually became a U.S. citizen before him. Why? Well, because the first time he took the test, there is a test, by the way, he failed it. His wife passed because he says she studied for it, and he actually had to take it another time. He studied this time, and he passed with flying colors. So Felix Hernandez, not just the king, not just perfect, but also a U.S. citizen. Congratulations to Felix. Guys.
You know, here's the test. I threw a perfect game. You're in.
Well, congratulations to him.
A big day for Felix. Best dressed newly minted citizen. Mariners trailing 6-3. Justin Grimm on to face Marcus Semien.
Fastball at 93 miles an hour and a curveball.
Bends it back, ball one.
His 20th appearance. 15 and a third, 11.74 ERA for him. 8 strikeouts over 14 walks. Opponents hitting .322 against him.
Chad Pender running at third base for Joyce. High left center. Will the yard hold it? Haniger right in front of the track. Pender tags. 7-3 Oakland. One out, one on. Olsen at first. Here is Lucroy. Lucroy's been on base all 3 times. A home run, a single, then was smoked on a fastball on his shoulder. That was from the arm of Sean Armstrong. Some movement to it. Fortunately ruled ball one. Now for Lucroy, his home run earlier tonight, his 4th on the season. And the career home run number 100. Swings through it. Grimm strikes out Lucroy for out number 2.
Best curveball of the inning. Down and away, located. It was a strike on the corner. Some swing through it.
Here's Laureano. When I think about a guy who has 100 home runs, by the way, I think of, now this is random, Mike. You're shocked, aren't you? You know, I think of.
I probably could have guessed that, but go ahead.
You know, John Kruk ended his career with exactly 100 home runs and exactly a 300 batting average.
I did not know that.
Well, why would you? The only reason I knew is because when the Phillies were in town a couple of years ago for interleague play, I had to talk to John about, was it the '93 All-Star game when he got spun around by Randy? I think it was '93. And that was the Griffey, Camden Yards home run derby. I'm looking up Kruk's numbers prior to talking to him, and there is seldom better symmetry on the back of a baseball card than a lifetime 300 average and 100 home runs. And one of the most memorable all-star at-bats in Midsummer Classic history. I remember Kruk saying that there were certain pitchers that your heart would start to race when you got inside the batter's box.
Yep.
And he said, talking about Randy, he was the only guy that his heart felt that way when he was still in the dugout.
Typically, left-handed hitters were not in the lineup that day when Randy was pitching. Obviously, an all-star game, something completely different, but I can understand that.
Randy probably took it personally when there was a left-handed hitter in there. I would imagine he would want to send a little bit more of a message to that lefty than your typical hitter.
Yeah, I think he just felt that that was going to be an out for good reason.
Sure. Another 3-2. Span coasts underneath it, and that is the inning. Two more score for the A's. They lead 7-3.
Field, James Paxton made his return to the starting rotation tonight, and fans from all over checking in. The hashtag to use is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Brett was groving in Missouri, and note the turn ahead clock night. Very well accessorized there, Brett. And then we've got this one from Kate, who was here at the ballpark with her dad. And finally, we have Kimmy and Kimmy, birthday girls, same name, same ballpark, rooting for the same team. Keep the photos coming. Use that hashtag Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. But I do have to point out, when you use that hashtag, it does give us permission to use your photo on the air, guys.
Thank you, Angie. Juris Familia is on the pitch. Former Met, now at the A's.
68 appearances, a 3.21 ERA, 81 strikeouts in 70 innings. Fastball at 96 miles an hour and a slider.
Facing Mitch Haniger, 7-3 A's lead. if you want to look at this A's season, there's actually a recent article in Sports Illustrated that kind of documented part of this. I'm going to look at a turning point for the A's. There's a moment at the end of June where they took 2 out of 3 against the Indians. Of course, the Indians have been in first place for almost all the year. They've won the division, of course. And then it was only about a week later where the A's went on to Houston. They took 3 out of 4 in Houston against the Astros. And it was right around that time where I think if you were Billy Beane and you're running the A's, sliced out to right. Used to play for Piscotty on number 1. I think that kind of began to really prove a point to Bob Melvin and that front office that this is for real. I mean, you take 2 out of 3 against the Indians. About a week later, you take 3 out of 4 on the road against the defending World Series champions. And if the A's weren't believing at that point, they certainly were after that. And then the moves started to come, and the big one, of course, was Familia. There were more to come after that.
Rodney.
Mike Fiers to the rotation. But Familia was the big one. And he was one of the most coveted arms in the trade market this summer. And of course, the question, if you can take yourself back in time, was for a Mariners fan during that 4-game series, A's and Astros, who are you rooting for? At that point, the A's were behind the Mariners. The Mariners were in second place. Oakland was really starting to make noise and climb the ladder in the division. And in my mind, Mike, the prevailing thought
You and I had the conversation, and it didn't take long for us both to say that we wanted Houston to win that series.
Absolutely. You squashed the A's,
yes.
and you
didn't work out that way,
no.
but that's what we wanted to see, and for good reason.
Well, the last thing you wanted, if you were the Mariners, is you did not want the A's to believe. And they had good reason to believe after that series win in Houston in particular, and then the moves came. One out, nobody on. And remarkably for the A's, they have sustained it. Ever since roughly that midway point in June. Kind of knuckling a little bit to Lowry, gets rid of it quickly. It's a good looking play.
That was a good play, tough play. Stayed with it.
Tonight's T-Mobile built for baseball. And we go back to the first inning. Robinson Cano.
He has been locked in lately, a hot hitter. 5 consecutive multi-hit games. What a play by the fan.
Even the A's fan has to applaud.
You have to. One-handed catch out there for Robbie, his 10th home run on the season.
It's a 6-game hitting streak for Robbie. His last 2 at-bats, he's flown out to right field. One of which was all the way back to the warning track. Ball and a strike to Cano. Behind. Cano now 14 for his last 22, speaking of being locked in.
He has been really hot. Familia's average fastball 96, and that's what we've been seeing, 96, 97.
Down swinging. Familia, a 1-2-3, bottom of the 8th, out of the 9th. Get home field advantage on Silver Bullet Saturdays. Download the Coors Light Rewards app and start earning points towards rewards like Mariners tickets and Coors Light gear while supplies last. Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Nick Rumbelow is the new pitcher for the Mariners here in the 9th.
Fastball at 93 miles an hour. Curve changeup. 10 appearances. 7.5 ERA. 11 strikeouts. Over 5 walks. Opponents hitting .322. He's given up 6 home runs.
Rumbelow, an LSU product, former college teammate of Alex Bregman. All-star third baseman for the Astros. Here's Matt Chapman. Close but ruled ball 1. Chapman, a 2-run home run in the 7th. That put the A's ahead 5-3 at the time. Three and 0. Blake Treinen getting loose with a 4-run lead. Able to get the count full. Jed Lowry, switch hitter on deck. Leadoff walk. Chapman reaches for the second time. Here is Lowry. Of course, the A's have to win tonight to keep pace with the Yankees, who won earlier today. So with that Yankees win, this game still not decided. It's a 2-game lead for the Yankees for that second wild card. So you see Treinen warming up. in a 7-3 ball game. 0-2. A win today by the A's will keep that at a 1.5 game difference. Shift on here with an 0-2 count.
Missing with the changeup at 87 miles an hour.
He gets Lowry, drops down to a knee. Now number 1. Now, Mike, what do you think of this? Is this crazy talk? If you're thinking about the home field advantage in the wild card game, 2 teams on different sides of the country, Yankees and A's. I wonder, is home field advantage less of the priority, but simply not having to fly all the way across the country and deal with the travel, the time zone change?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I would think. Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to play
Sure.
in their home ballpark. I get that part of it. But the big part, especially when you're talking about that kind of travel, where will Oakland be? Where do they go next? Do you know?
Yes, Anaheim. They have a day off
Yeah,
after
so
this.
there you
Here's
go.
whoop, up
Yeah.
the coast.
Yeah, yeah. That's a lot of incentive, I would say.
Yeah, because I'm with you. Not to downplay home field advantage, but in a one-game situation, if you can avoid spending more time in the air than the length of the series in terms of hours,
yeah,
that's a difference maker.
When we had in '95, we had the one game with the Angels. We had to go from Arlington back to Seattle, play that game, win the game, go to New York, get in the morning sometime, whatever time that was, and then play.
I mean, I know there's a lot of adrenaline and everything, but
that was tough.
You need a lot of adrenaline. Gamble in right field.
So I can say from some experience that yeah, that's a lot of incentive to try to get that done.
All right, yeah, makes sense. 2 outs. Chapman, the leadoff walk, still at first. That brings up Piscotty. Strike 1. Oh, 2. Piscotty a single and a run scored in a 2-run 8th inning for the A's. 2 runs in the 7th, another 2 in the 8th. Paxton going 4 innings tonight, striking out 5, which puts him at 199 for the season. Piscotty just gets a piece back to the glove of Zunino, and that will send us to the bottom of the 9th, trying to face Blake Trinan. cushion at the bottom of the 9th inning.
Fastball slider, his average fastball 97 miles an hour. 65 appearances, 37 saves, 0.81 ERA, 96 strikeouts and 77 in the third. Opponents hitting just 155. A terrific season for Treinen.
And nobody's really ever worked this many innings, having allowed as fewer earned runs as Treinen, that minuscule .81 earned run average. Bob Melvin was talking to the media today before the game, and it's not a surprise, but Melvin saying that he believes Treinen deserves some Cy Young consideration for what he has done. He's been dynamite. Of course, Scott Service could be saying the same thing about Edwin Diaz, fairly so. Nelly looking for his first hit against Treinen as he leads off the bottom of the 9th. When we were in Houston, I asked A.J. Hinch, because he's had good perspective on both Treinen and Diaz. I asked him to kind of compare and contrast those two closers this year. After all, Diaz has saved 8 games against the Astros this season. And he said, you know, Treinen is trying to break your bat, and Diaz is trying to embarrass you.
That's a good way to put it.
That's a good way to put it.
Now, there's a certain machismo related to Diaz that you don't get with Treinen, especially here at home. And Hinch referenced the music and the LED lights flashing on and off, and the video board introduction for Edwin. And there's a certain
It's a great show. It's a great show.
It is a show, but you get a lot of this with Treinen. Not as many strikeouts, although there are plenty. And you mentioned that sinker, Mike.
That's heavy. Heavy fastball with a lot of velocity. 97.
One out, nobody on for Denard Span. Strike one.
Starts him off with a cutter at 94.
Another ground ball. Lowry having a range. Throw on target. 2 outs.
Talking a lot about the A's defense and Lowry having a good night defensively.
Now facing Kyle Seager with 2 outs and nobody on. Treinen's given up just 1 hit in his last 12 appearances, spanning 14 1/3 innings. And you include the 2 outs here in the 9th inning. 2 base runners have reached in his last 48 batters faced. One ball and 1 strike to Kyle. Young fan will walk away happy.
On the corner. And that was after the cutter inside. Cutter at 94 and then 99 miles an hour.
Have fun.
It's one thing to try to hit 99 in the middle of the plate, much less right on the corner.
Well, the A's did not need this win tonight to secure their spot in the postseason. The Yankees took care of that, beating the Rays earlier tonight. Now the 2-2. That's how it ends. Trinan closes the door in the 9th inning. And hugs all around. Congratulations to the Oakland A's as they are going back to the postseason, their 4th time in 7 years.
You've given the number of times here tonight, Aaron, and just the way that they've played, especially since the All-Star break, one of the hottest teams in baseball. Thought that they would slow down. They just have not slowed down. You look at them, they are 2nd in home runs, one of the better fielding teams in the American League, and when they have a lead, they will put the game away. So congratulations, well done.
It's been a magic carpet ride for the A's since the middle point of June, and they win tonight. They take game 1 7-3. Bob Melvin and the Oakland A's are headed back to October baseball. Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines begins right now. Val, Brad, it's all yours.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. There's Matt.